Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Village of Bartlett Board meeting for August 15, 2017. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Kammer?
Here.
Carbonaro?
Here.
Daney?
Here.
Gabrenia?
Here.
Hopkins? Rinky?
Here.
President Wallace.
Here. Requested that Pastor Matt Young of Village Church of Bartlett do our invocation this evening. Pastor Young. And then please stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance immediately following the invocation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening and we ask that you would grant us wisdom as we have discussions and conversations for how to best serve your people here in Bartlett. And we pray, Lord, in these times where we see in multiple areas a lack of unity, we pray, Lord, that you would grant us unity in decisions that are being made. I pray for the men and women in this room. I pray, Lord, that you would give them wisdom. And I pray, above all, that your Spirit would just be uniting them in purpose and just in direction, Lord, as we know that you sent Jesus to serve us, and everyone here desires to serve the people here in Bartlett. And so we pray that we would look to you as our model. And I pray for each one here that you would, just as I said, grant wisdom and guide the discussions tonight, Lord, that we might be able to serve as best we can the people in this town. Thank you for the blessings we've received from you. And Lord, we ask all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Young. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our consent agenda this evening, all items listed with an asterisk will be enacted in one motion. There'll be no further discussion on any item on the consent agenda. At this point, is there anything a board member would like to add to the consent agenda?
Mr. President, if there aren't any objections, I don't know if we can do this or not, but I'd like to see if we could add on the consent agenda item C1, resolution approving the village administrator employment agreement. Can't do that now, can we?
No, we have to do the discussion first.
I think that should be voted on separately.
Yep.
All right. Then I would like to add item C2, the Metro Station Coffee Vendor License Agreement.
Anybody have any discussion on that?
I may have some discussion. I'm just curious if we had other people bid on it.
Yeah, they picked a couple, they interviewed 2 people.
If there's any discussion, we'll leave it off as well.
Well, Mr. President, let's try to add item F1, the engineering services for the smoke testing of the sanitary sewer system, to the consent agenda.
Any issues with that? All right.
I'd like to add A1 and A3.
Action Mobile Site PUD Plan Amendment and O'Hare Pub Use Live Entertainment. Any issues?
Mr. President, can we add B1, subdivision ordinance amendment, land cash donation?
B1.
E1 is me.
Yeah. Could be done.
Okay.
Any objections to that?
Nope.
And I'm going to try one more time. Can we add reconsider C2?
C2?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
C2
Metro-
can be on.
Metro Coffee. Anybody have any questions about the Metro Coffee Station? If you do,
It's okay.
all right, we're at it.
Okay, and then I suppose there's no objections. We'll add D1, liquor control ordinance amendment.
Yep.
And I'd like to add E1.
So we don't,
Yeah.
we don't even need it.
Okay,
So no.
we're leaving that one out there. Trustee Kammer.
Yeah, 'cause
Trustee Carbonaro?
And I'd like to add item E1, bylaws and intergovernment agreement for MCAT.
Got it. Anybody have any problems with the bylaws intergovernmental agreement for MCAT being on consent?
Thank you.
All right, let's see if I can get this down. I'll entertain a motion to amend the consent agenda to include the following items. Under Planning and Zoning, actually, let me start at the top. The minutes from the proposed budget review of March 14, 2017, the minutes from the board and committee minutes of July 18, 2017. The consent will also include the bills list from August 1st and August 15, 2017. The consent will also include Planning and Zoning Committee, item A1, Action Mobile Site, PUD Plan Amendment. It will be adding item A3, O'Hare's Pub Special Use Permit to Live Entertainment. The consent will also be adding the Building Committee, item B1, Subdivision Ordinance Amendment from Land and Cash Donations. The consent will also be adding, under Finance and Golf Committee, item C2, Metro Station Coffee Vendor License Agreement. It will also include item C4, Brewster Creek TIF Project Fund. The consent agenda will also include License and Ordinance Committee. We'll be adding the item D1, Liquor Control Ordinance Amendment. Oh, no, we will not be adding that. The consent will also include item D2, Bartlett Lions Club Lions Day Dash. The consent will also include item D3, Heritage Oaks Tree Preservation and Tree Removal. The consent agenda will be adding the Police and Health Committee, item E1, Bylaws and Intergovernmental Agreement for MCAT. The consent will also include item E2, Lambert and Stearns Road No Parking Ordinance. It will also include item E3, Streamwood Intergovernmental Agreement for Municipal Jail Services. We'll be adding under Public Works Committee, F1, Engineering Services for Smoke Testing Sanitary Sewers. And I believe that's it. I'll entertain a motion to amend the consent to include those items.
So moved.
It's moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Hopkins. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Kammerer,
Yes.
Carbonaro,
Yes.
Daney,
Yes.
Gabrenya,
Yes.
Hopkins, Ranky.
Yes.
That motion carries. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Kammerer. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Carbonaro,
Yes.
Daney,
Yes.
Gabrenya,
Yes.
Hopkins, Ranky,
Yes.
Kammerer.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next item we have this evening is our Treasurer's Report. Mr. Treasurer?
Thank you, President Wells. Yes, for tonight is the June Treasurer's Report, second month of our fiscal year. And June is the month we receive the DuPage property taxes, so that shows revenue reflecting that. Included with that is the motor fuel tax, and it's showing in May we received $91,000, which is just $1,000 less than last year at this time, but on par. About $90,000 a month is what we receive. And also the sales tax comes in a couple months behind, so this is showing the final receipt in the fiscal 16-17, showing $2,363,000 total, which was up $113,000 from the prior year, or just under 5%. And that's it for the Treasurer's Report. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Next item we have this evening is the President's Report. The first item on our list for the President's Report is a proclamation for the Special Olympics. A proclamation recognizing Special Olympian Lisa Menachino as Bartlett's Best. Whereas the 2017 Special Olympics World Winter Games were held in Austria earlier this year, and whereas Bartlett, Illinois was proudly represented in these games by 47-year-old cross-country skier Lisa Menachino, who brought home a gold medal in the 4x1K relay freestyle. And whereas Lisa has been involved in Special Olympics Illinois for more than 31 years, competing in aquatics, track and field, rhythmic gymnastics, softball, volleyball, and the sport that holds a special place in her heart, cross-country skiing. And whereas Mendocino is no stranger to international travel, having been chosen along with 10 teammates to take part in a basketball showcase during the Summer Special Olympics in Seoul, Korea in 1988, when she was just 19 years old. And whereas this Streamwood High School graduate, former Burger King employee of 22 years, and active volunteer with the Clare Oaks Retirement Community and Special Olympics Illinois Far West Suburban Area 2 office, has also earned recognition from the Northern Illinois Special Recreation Association, which named her an Athlete of the Month in 2008 and Athlete of the Year in 2012. And whereas this star skier, who says friendship and camaraderie are the best part of being involved in Special Olympics, brings an immense amount of pride to her family and our community. Now, therefore, I, Kevin Wallace, President of the Village of Bartlett, Cook, DuPage, and Kane Counties, Illinois, do hereby give high fives to this talented gold medal winning Olympian and proudly proclaim Lisa Mendocino as one of Bartlett's best. Congratulations, Lisa.
Say also, if you don't. Absolutely. Yeah.
It was such an honor to be chosen to go to Austria to compete in the 2017 World Winter Games in the sport I love. Maybe some of you saw it on TV in March. It was such a beautiful place. 13 of my family members came to cheer me on. It was amazing to ski surrounded by mountains. I did my best. I brought home a 4th place in the 1K and a 5th place in the 500 meters, and my 4x1K relay brought home the gold. This year is the special year because it is the final year for cross-country skiing in Illinois. Boy, I'm going to miss that. Thank you for the Village of Bartlett in hosting the area Winter Games and the golf tournament and the Special Olympic holiday dinner at Bartlett Hills. Thank you.
Lisa, how does Bartlett compare to Austria?
Both places are really good.
The rolling hills.
Both of them are really good.
What a nice tribute to Lisa. I'm Amy Kaler with Special Olympics in the Far West Suburban Area 2 office. And she's a great representative for all of the athletes in Illinois and across the country who went to Austria to show what they can do. This seems like the perfect opportunity also to be able to thank the village and all the community members who have been such a part of our Special Olympics program since 1982, when Living Lord Lutheran Church members suggested hosting an event which became our Winter Games at Bartlett Hills. The Park District, the village, the Lions Club, and the Women's Club jumped on board, and the community members came out in great numbers to volunteer. It amazes me still that we have 10 or so of those original volunteers coming back to help us every year. It's amazing. I remember packing so many cold people in that old barn building that you could feel the floor sag. In 1995, Bob Gavlik proposed the idea of adding the golf competition, and both events are still going strong. Earlier this month, almost half of the volunteers that were at our golf competition were Bartlett residents, thanks to the hard work of Ruth Beckner. And what would we do without the great staff who've helped us every step of the way? Bob Gavlik, Phil and Paul in the golf shop, and Kevin DeRue, the superintendent, and Paul, Mary, and Evan. And President Wallace, who always comes out to our events, even when it's 90 degrees or 10 below. I know I speak for all the athletes and coaches and family members when I say that being at Bartlett Hills is like being home. Everyone is welcoming and helpful. Make sure that everything is set up just right. We've all grown up and grown old with each other. Thank you for providing us a home, for giving our athletes the opportunity to practice, to compete, and to show their abilities right here in Bartlett, at our state games, and throughout the world. Right, Lisa?
Yep.
We'd like to present the village of Bartlett with this plaque. Presented to the village of Bartlett in appreciation of over 30 years of support for Special Olympics Illinois athletes in golf and winter games.
Thank you so much. Can we get a picture here real quick? Sure.
Actually, after that wonderful speech by Amy, I don't have a whole lot to say other than President Wallace and the board, please take my thank you for your years and all the boards for the last 30-some years, the residents, as they mentioned, Ruth Beckner in the golf tournament, and Jack Babel in the winter games, who's instrumental, Paula, Scott, all those familiar faces over there, all the residents of Bartlett who come out year after year to help support Special Olympics. I've been retired, this is amazing, almost 3 years, and I continue to come back and participate in the events at Bartlett Hills. So it's great to see old friends year after year, the people that come out and support the events, the staff, Paulie, and everybody at the golf course, fantastic. And that's really all I wanted to say. I just wanted to echo what Amy said. It's a very important and inspiring day for anybody that's been out there. So I think, Ray, this was your first year coming out and helping.
Volunteering, right.
Yeah, volunteering.
And Bob, how many years have you been doing it?
Oh, 32 years.
32 years he's been training golfers
Yep.
on his own dime, helping them out and running this organization.
Yeah, and I'm still out there. Somehow Amy talked me into a little state activity too, for the state finals. So. But I enjoy that also. But again, I just want to come and say thank you to everybody for the success of Special Olympics here in Bartlett. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and less illustrious stuff on the president's report. We have banner and sports, not less important, I guess. Banner and Sports Grill Class J liquor license application. They have a requested a Class J to sell alcohol at their anniversary event on Friday, August 18, and Saturday, August 19, from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Bartlett Commons Shopping Center. We created the Class J for special events like this for businesses and organizations that currently hold the Bartlett liquor license. I will entertain a motion to approve the Class J license as submitted by Bannerman's.
So moved.
It's moved by Trustee Kammer, seconded by Trustee Hopkins. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Daney?
Yes.
Cabrera? Yes. Hopkins? Ranky?
Yes.
Kammerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
The motion carries. Our next license that is approved, I received a request for liquor license from Hanover Township. It's a Class D liquor license. Hanover Township as a license to be used for an event located at 240 South Route 59. Hanover Township has submitted an application for this license. The Class D liquor license allows the retail sale of alcohol for a special event. The certificate of insurance has been received by the village and reviewed by the village attorney. Entertain a motion to approve the Class D liquor license for Edward Henderson Township.
Second.
Moved by trustee Daney, seconded by trustee Carbonaro. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Cabrera? Hopkins? Ranky?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
That motion carries. And finally, on the President's report this evening, Bartlett Heritage Days has submitted an application for a Class D liquor license for the Heritage Days Festival at Leisburg Park on September 9, 2017. Once again, the Class D liquor license allows for the retail sale of alcohol for a special event. The certificate of insurance has not been received by the village, but the permit can be issued pending the submittal of the appropriate certificate of insurance, and we will be tracking to make sure that comes in. With that being said, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Class D liquor license for the application for Bartlett Heritage Days.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved by trustee Kammer, seconded by trustee Gabrenya. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Hopkins? Ranky?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Cabrera?
Yes.
That motion carries. And with that done, our next item this evening is our town hall portion of the meeting. If anyone would like to address the board, please step up to the podium. Kindly state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Austin Hopkins, 944 Sam Piper Court, Bartlett. And I am one of the chairmen for the Bartlett 4th of July Committee, and I'm here on behalf of the 4th of July Committee. And we'd just like to express our thank you for everything that the village provides for us in order to have our great festival. For some of you that don't know, the village helps with provide generators, porta potties, the traffic lights. I also want to thank staff for all of their work. And of course, the most important is the police. The police spend an enormous amount of time there, overtime, which the village, luckily pays for us to provide that safety that the fest needs. So again, we just want to say thank you for everything that you guys do.
Thank you, Mr. Hopkins. And tell Wayne thanks, too. Great event this year.
Yes, thank you.
Good job.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Trustee. I'm Linda Smith, 741 Duxbury in Bartlett, and I'm here because in our development we have a architectural review committee that has been looking over plans for permits since Campanelli's had built the property up. And what we're running into is people are coming to the village to get a permit, and it does meet your code, and we respect that, but we have covenants that we kind of bought into when we purchased our property and built our homes that we take very serious. And we have 2 recent incidences, one with a fence where the fence went to the lot line of the home instead of staying within the back perimeters of the house. So if the house measured 50 feet, the fence was at 50 feet, not at the lot line. Also, we have a shed going up in our development that's 16 by 20 feet with a 15-foot roof. That would really be a sight for sore eyes. If the review committee would have approved that, we would not have. But if it would be on Beaver Pond and people would take that nice walk on Beaver Pond and start to see 16 by 20-foot cottage sheds or any type of a shed that size along Beaver Pond. The beauty of that development is just that. It's a large acreage land, it's open, and that's the feel the Campanellis wanted when they built the property. That's what we bought into as homeowners. I know I've spoke with the village attorney on this and also with Brian in the building department, so I was hoping maybe we could work out some type of communication that if somebody did come to you, I know they have to sign off that they may be aware of covenants or homeowners association, but I just thought there might be some way that we could be alerted if it was in an email or something where somebody could come into the village just to see if someone applied for a permit. With technology, I just don't know where to go with it. So I just wanted some help and direction, but I wanted you to know that rather than bringing 50 people here, we drew straws. It was my luck. I'm here to represent everybody. So just so you know, our feelings, And it doesn't speak for every resident there, because I couldn't, we, as a group, we could not reach every resident, not everybody was home, but for the majority of them, people don't want that in their backyard, and if they do want a shed, they keep it in the back of the lot to a corner. We have a shed going up in the middle of somebody's property in the backyard, therefore that openness is lost, and there's just concern. We just want you to be aware of.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Don't be shy.
Somebody else's time. Jack Hayes with Frederick Quinn. I'm not a resident of Bartlett, but John Leonardo was here last month to update you on the police station project, so I thought I'd come tonight. One of us will be here every month to make sure you're aware of what's going on. I believe John provided through Paula a written update, so I don't want to spend too much time, but I want to make sure that we're here to answer any questions. As you can tell, demolition has started. So that's good. It's been a good month. We were able to get the temporary work in the existing police station, the remaining police stations, so that police operations were fully functional. Besides the physical construction portion, a large amount of work went into ComEd relocation, removal of ComEd poles, which was completed today, and creating a delineation between the old electrical services and what needs to remain to keep police and village and the police and data all going. It was quite a spaghetti bowl of a mess of electrical, and I appreciate the patience of staff, both police and village hall staff, because I know that there were some disruptions throughout that, primarily related to panel A being labeled this portion of the building, you take it out of service, and it affected that portion of the building. So there was some disruption, and we appreciate the patience. Looking forward into the next month, demolition will continue. We can't do the basement until we get the earth retention system in place, which is going to start on the 28th of August. We're going to do a little bit of, we're going to complete the above-ground demolition, do some utility work, do some excavation prep, and then we'll do the earth retention system. Once the earth retention system is in place, then we'll be able to take out the basement and actually start excavation for your new building. While all that's going on, Fred Morano, who's back in the office, has been working on putting out bid package 2, which was published on August 10th, for the remainder of all the contract work for the project. That is currently out for bid. We'll have a pre-proposal meeting, a pre-bid meeting this Thursday, a second one on the 24th. Bids are due on the 31st. And at that point, then we'll go through the process of vetting those contracts out and the scopes and coming back to the board with a recommendation in mid-September for action or evaluation at the September 19th board meeting for award of all the final trade contracts. Coordination is going well with Williams and with the police department and with staff. Things have, there's always a little disruption in renovation projects, but mostly things are going according to plan, and the budget and schedule are holding. Questions?
Any questions for? I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you for the update.
All right, thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the board at this time?
My name is David Besania. I am owner of the town's liquor and board, just across the street. I was just looking at agenda, and I like to first thanks to village board and everybody for supporting the town center. Whenever we need it, we always getting support from the Bartlett village. They make the side parking lot. That's also a big help for us. So now town center is almost full. Maybe some place is empty, but looks good. It's good for the village too. Second thing, I was looking in agenda and I seen that O'Hare Pub is applying for the packaged liquor license, and we already selling the packaged liquor license, packaged liquors in the town center, and we have long hours, and we carry like a lot of different kind of variety. Everything is available, but I don't know whether still you wanted to give the second license in the same building. That's my main concern was. And other than that, we always need the help from the for the town center from you guys. Whenever whatever you can do the best for the routing, the traffic and everything. Sometimes there is an event, everybody park front of the stores and park for the couple hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, even sometimes event in that hall. So people park across the street and come away this way. So that kind of thing, I don't know how to solve that problem, but I just requesting that one too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else like to address the board at this time?
Good evening, everyone. Jim D. Smith, 741 Duxbury. I'm here to address kind of an intergovernmental type of situation that I believe we have over in Beaver Pond, part of which is owned by and maintained by the Village of Bartlett Park District. They purchased that and started maintaining that approximately 7 years ago and installed a very nice walking path. On the northern end of it, they did a very poor job because that is a very low area. They tried to make amends by putting in a nice paver block walkway through that area, but due to the drainage in that area, it was always constantly underwater. Within that first year, and many complaints to the village and Park District, many residents and people that visit the area didn't know where to go, they put in a temporary bridge. That has been mostly underwater all these years, especially during heavy rains and that. In the wintertime, it's a very iced up area, so nobody can really utilize that 1 mile track other than going one way and then the other. I'm bringing this to the village's attention because many people have asked for the Park District to address this, and it seems like nothing ever seems to get done. Recently, somebody from the Park District said they are looking into it, but it may be another couple years. I find this hard to believe in a village of this statute that 7 years since they took it over, this has been a constant problem and just can't seem to be addressed and seems to be constantly swept under the rug. So I'm appealing to everyone on the village board if they can work an intergovernmental type of agreement or help to persuade the Park District to possibly expedite something instead of another few years, maybe even 7, to get this accomplished. It's my understanding that all of a sudden, because of people thinking that this would be addressed here tonight, that area was cleaned up as recently as Friday, which it looks very nice. They worked very hard, and a few of the neighbors that were walking also took pictures of the Park District employees or whomever had taken care of the problem. But again, that's a temporary solution. I think the drainage problem in that north end of that area really needs to be addressed. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming out. Would anyone else like to address the board at this time? Hearing none, I will be adjourning to executive session to discuss personnel pursuant to Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Cameron. Will the clerk please call the roll? We will be reconvening again once we're out of executive session for the remainder of the agenda.
Trustee Renke?
Yes.
Cammer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Cabrera?
Yes.
Hopkins?
We are adjourned. Gentlemen, we are reconvening the board meeting for Village of Bartlett, August 15, 2017. I call the meeting back to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Cammer?
Here.
Carbonaro?
Here.
Daney?
Here.
Cabrera? Here. Hopkins?
Here.
Ranky.
Here.
President Wallace.
Here. The next item on our agenda this evening is the appointment of the village administrator, and I hereby appoint Paula Schumacher as the village administrator, and I'm looking for a motion to consent to that appointment.
So moved. Second?
Moved by trustee Gabrenia, seconded by trustee Carbonaro. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Cameron.
Yes.
Carbonaro.
Yes.
Daney.
Yes.
Cabrera.
Yes.
Hopkins. Yes. Ranky.
Yes.
That motion carries, and now the village attorney, please swear in village administrator Paula Schumacher. Your family can come up too.
Yeah.
Nowhere to hide now, Paula.
Vince, did you see this?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Congratulations, Paula. We're thrilled. Next item we have this evening are our standing committee reports. First standing committee report this evening is the Planning and Zoning Committee, Chairman Hopkins.
Thank you, President Wallace. There was 4 things on our agenda tonight, 2 of which were covered under the consent, A1 and A3. That brings us to item A2, Olivia's Place Special Use Permit to serve beer and wine, allow outdoor seating, including serving beer, wine, and food, and to allow live entertainment. The Plan Commission reviewed the petitioner's request at the July 13th, 2017 meeting and recommended approval of the special use. And staff is requesting that the petitioner come directly for the board for a vote. With that, if Mr. Plonzinski could run us through this.
Thank you, Trustee Hopkins. I've got the location map up on the screen. It's 143-149 East Lake Street in the Oakfield Shopping Center. And as you stated, the Plan Commission did recommend approval of the special use. The petitioner is wanting to do what I would call, it's called Olivia's Place, but it's he's given some examples of his other entities, Lucky Bernie's and Woodstock and Spring Grove. Wants to open kind of like a deli restaurant in conjunction with the video gambling. It's a nice layout. They want to serve beer, wine, allow outdoor seating, and have acoustical music. Here's just some additional pictures of some of the his existing establishments. The renderings on the floor layout, it's a nice layout in that shopping center. You can see this one has the outdoor seating area right in front of in the sidewalk there. And again, some of the existing layout. Essentially, they want to renovate that 2,400 square foot space, allow for 6 outdoor seating with the fencing around there, ask for the liquor license for Class B, which is really beer and wine, and again, just some of the rendering. Petitioner has complied with everything that staff asked, and as a statement, the Plan Commission did recommend approval. with the 6 seats, the outdoor fencing, and building permits required for any activity that they would choose to do. There's plenty of, there's 10 employees anticipated, but 3 on each shift. There's plenty of parking in Oakfield Shopping Center. They have 177 spaces. So if you have any other questions, I'll try to answer them. The petitioner is here.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a couple questions. The outdoor seating has always been a major issue with me. Are they actually extending the sidewalk to allow for this outdoor seating area?
They have volunteered to do that, but they would comply with the 4-foot area. They don't have the petition, they don't have the landlord's permission to do that, but this is really going to be on the existing sidewalk that's out there. And so this is kind of a rendering of it on the screen. And they know they have to maintain the 4-foot clearance from the fence to the parking area.
I think my concern is if they did extend the sidewalk to allow for outdoor seating, that would push parking, farther away from the building, and there's not enough room in that shopping center to allow for that. And if they did put outdoor seating at the current dimensions of the sidewalk, I just don't see it working. So that's some of my issues with it. So does the committee have any other?
I do have a
question also. We've just, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's all right. Let me go, or you want to go?
Real quick. I know we've talked about the outdoor seating, and the outdoor seating requirements that we currently have, what is typical? I haven't been able to get an answer. What do we normally allow? Is it 4 feet?
4 feet is what we need for clearance of the area outside of the fence to the parking lot. And we achieved that. Just O'Hare's was your most recent example, and they did that. They have the 4-foot separation.
What do we have down here at the TL's,
Pasta Mia?
Well, Pasta Mia and the JC's, the Mexican restaurant, TL's, I forget. They have outdoor seating there. How many feet?
JC's has, their outdoor seating's kind of confined to closer to their building, so they probably have more than that. They probably have more than 4 feet.
All right. My question is, do we have a standard?
4 feet is what we
Okay,
achieve.
that's what I'm trying to
We
get
try to achieve in all the locations.
All right, 4 feet is a minimum.
Yes.
And do they meet that requirement, correct?
They will have to, yes. They haven't built it yet, so they know that they have to have the 4-foot separation.
All right.
Do we have the dimension of the sidewalk from the building out?
Right now, do we know if 4 feet is acceptable without extending the sidewalk?
From what I don't have anything, let me see. Yeah, Angela has a layout. Unfortunately, I don't have there, but he does say that outdoor seating area is 8.5 feet. And then the sidewalk's 8.5 feet. He'll maintain the 4-foot. I can show you this picture. It's in your board packet too, sorry. It's just not on the video. But they're showing that dimension.
Is that an accurate dimension?
From what we yeah,
Did staff check it, or are we just taking the petitioner's word for it?
I'm gonna say, I didn't go out there and measure the sidewalk like I did with O'Hare, but yeah, Roberta, our assistant director, went out there and believed that they have enough distance. When we did O'Hare's, we went out there several times.
I read it incorrectly. I'm reading this at 3 feet 11 1/4 inches. But then if you look at the bottom of the drawing, it shows that the sidewalk is 8.5 feet.
Right.
Yeah. Well, if I had seen that earlier, I wouldn't have asked the question.
That's okay.
Jim, I have a question with regards to assurances that the village can or would they have. when someone comes before, a petitioner comes before the village, and they say, these are our proposed renderings, and are we holding them to follow through on those proposed renderings? Or let's say we approve what they're doing, and they say, well, we decided not to do that, you know, and, you know, we're not going to have a deli, we're not going to serve sandwiches, and, you know, we've just decided to totally change things. Now we're going to have a toaster oven and video gaming machines. Can they do that?
They wouldn't get a liquor license.
Well, if we're going to approve the rendering right now and go through with it, and they change their mind later on.
There's a lot of steps to go through.
As to the format of what they're going to propose, that's what I'm asking. Can they do that if they wanted to?
I believe that your requirements in your special use, we don't incorporate the renderings in the ordinance. If you want to ensure, these are pictures of their other establishments, but I would say add those as a condition of your ordinance. It's not in there. We just added the condition of the outdoor seating Exhibit A, which is on here. But if you want them to adhere to this, that's what you would have to do, and they'd have to come in close proximity to it. They're not official building plans, but that's what we do in, for instance, like the industrial buildings. We have full-scale drawings and plans, and we reference those plans and the site plans in the actual industrial ordinance. That's right, the way to do it. So then you have a drawn plan that they have to adhere to. They submit it for the building permit, and that's what we review. This isn't at that level. They have not submitted for a building permit. You could add that condition. I'll leave that up to your village attorney how to word that, but you could reference these renderings as a condition of your ordinance if you choose.
Well, I like the idea of the restaurant. I like the idea of the deli and sandwiches, the entertainment, the outdoor seating. I like the idea of it bringing something new to that area. But I like the way they're proposing it, as long as they're not going to change it. Or just decide that, well, we just decided not to do that. And then that's the issue I have with it. Then it's another video gaming place, you know, with a toaster oven. And that I'm not so happy about. But if we can put some stipulations on it, then.
They need a special use to serve beer and wine and for the outdoor seating. So we can place reasonable restrictions in a special use ordinance. We don't have it in here. We only made the condition of the layout for the outdoor seating is attached as an exhibit, and they have to adhere to that. That exhibit that is up on the screen, and if there's table arrangements, chair arrangements, and things, could be similarly made a condition. We're not in a position tonight to modify this to, you know, to add language here at the dais for you to add to vote. It could be tabled for that purpose and brought back with a condition that would address that concern, and I think Trustee Hopkins' concern relative to some issues relative to the width of the sidewalk and that it not be a problem. I don't know the current widths other than what was just stated at the meeting, but those issues could be addressed in conditions, and then the ordinance itself brought back. We could run that by the petitioner and his attorney. I see in the audience Mr. Friedman, whom we've dealt with over the years.
Not his attorney. Mr. Jack is in the audience, the petitioner.
Uh-oh.
Well, it was my understanding that this isn't on the committee because there was some time sensitivity to the approval. Is that correct?
Pardon? I couldn't hear the question.
This wasn't on the committee because there's some time sensitivity to the approval. Is that correct?
We wanted to get it in front of you because we kept it on the same vein as some of the O'Hares. They all kind of went together. So O'Hare's came right to you, and this one
Yeah, we
came
went-
the same way.
We went committee and then straight to...
I think some of that was because we canceled the meeting.
Right.
And we didn't want
Yes.
to penalize the, petitioners in doing that, and so I think that was it. I don't know that there's a urgency.
So in terms of conditions, then, how does the village attorney feel if I were to make a motion that one of the conditions of the special use would be that the property would be developed in substantial conformance with the renderings contained in the village agenda packet?
That would work.
Okay. And then someone could second that motion?
So, did you get that down? We have a motion from trustee Ranky that the petitioner basically mimic the renderings as close as possible. Is that what you're
That they
trying to
be
say?
in substantial conformance with the rendering.
Yeah.
We'll make an exhibit to this ordinance.
Yep. Who seconded? Was that you? And we have a second from trustee Camera. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Cabrera?
Yes.
Hopkins? Yes. Ranky?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Is there any other questions from the committee? I'll move to approve ordinance 2017-98,
98?
an ordinance granting a special use permit to serve beer and wine, to allow outdoor seating and live entertainment and acoustical music at Olivia's Place at 143 and 149 East Lake Street.
Second.
It's moved by trustee Hopkins, seconded by trustee Daney. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Daney?
Yes.
Cabrera?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Then we have one other item on our agenda. It's the O'Hare's Pub special use permit to sell packaged liquor. And I think at the petitioner's request, we're going to table this agenda item.
May we make a slight adjustment to that request?
Probably not at this level.
I just like to not table it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can make a motion, and then we can have discussion, and we can have a vote.
This is for O'Hare's Pub special use permits to sell packaged liquor. This went before the Plan Commission, and they recommended approval. And I'll go ahead and move to approve ordinance 2017-90.
It's actually 100.
100, an ordinance granting a special use permit to sell packaged liquor, beer, and wine only at O'Hare's Pub at 207 South Main Street.
Second.
It's moved by trustee Hopkins, seconded by trustee Carbonaro. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I understand that, and I've received a number of, and I've actually looked at a number of pieces of literature that Town Hall Liquors has the exclusive rights to sell beer and a packaged liquor in that strip shopping center. And that would only be allowed to one occupant in that strip shopping center. I also know that in the letter I've received here from the owners of Horizon Management, and they're saying that we are urging you to deny the license application of O'Hare's Irish Pub to sell packaged liquor goods from their location at the center. They go on to say it's been very difficult attracting new tenants, and for obvious reasons, they don't want duplication of products or services, and they're absolutely striving for the success of each tenant to achieve the most revenue out of their business. And they just throw an example in here. They would not allow 2 pizza parlors in the center. So basically, this goes on to say is that they're trying to, each business has a single use, and that's what they're trying to maintain. And in the lease that I had read, that is held by Town Liquors. It said in there that he also had exclusive rights to sell packaged liquor. So he was the only one that's allowed, and this letter confirms that, to sell packaged liquors. In my opinion, this letter confirms that he is the only one allowed to sell packaged liquor in that strip shopping center.
Any other discussion?
Well, I guess more of a question. I mean, I've got an email here saying that you want to table the request, and then that's how we kind of started the meeting, and now we're not tabling the request. What's going on?
So the question is really about the definition of packaged liquor and the limitations on the description that comes from our liquor license at Bartlett, okay? So the reason I wanted to table it was at the request of the planning commission that they thought that that was the best idea because this letter showed up today that said they wanted to deny our application. But it goes back to the definition of what that H liquor license is. Yes, it does say retail packaged liquor. As a restaurant with a liquor license, I cannot sell packaged liquor. I cannot sell a six-pack. If someone was sitting at a table, I cannot sell them 6 beers. I can sell a bottle of wine to a table, but what I am limited by is the definition that is on that application of what H is. The truth of it is, we want to sell a beer or a wine with a carry-out order, or maybe they're finishing up their meal and they want beer because they're going on the train. So a compromise to the village board that they may consider is serving size. My serving size is 1 per person. If you're sitting at a table, I cannot sell you 2 beers while you're sitting there. The only thing I can sell you is 1 beer and 1 shot. My application is not for liquor. It's for a serving of beer and a serving of wine. 1 per person. So if we would consider an adjustment, or what else do we call it, some type of a stipulation on what I'm asking for, this is really about an enhancement to a service I'm already doing. I did not need anybody's permission to do carry-out orders. I'm just saying that the apartment guys, the guys that live upstairs, they come down, they want a burger, and 5 minutes before the restaurant closes, and they want to walk upstairs with a beer. So this is the type of thing that we are looking for, and I've been really constrained by the definition on this whole packaged liquor, and now I have the attorney for the landlord send a letter today that put all of this into tailspin. So I felt that my only recourse was to table it, because I'm not going to give up on this idea. But we could at least open the discussion today to say that it would have a limitation on serving size, which I have to anyway. That's the nature of what I am. I'm a restaurant, and I can only sell 1 beer at a time. So if we could agree maybe on that, or at least allow it for discussion, and then if we still table it, that's fine. But I wanted to really try and put a little bit more explanation on it. I am not trying to compete with a liquor store. For God's sakes, I've got enough problems. So anyway, I hope that that helps understand it, the intention. It's really an enhancement to just being close to the train and just for our commuters that come and go.
Thank you, Peggy.
I would recommend that we table this.
Thank you. That's
And what this concerns in some of the correspondence that you received today is a private covenant between the landlord and Town Liquors, as well as perhaps O'Hare's and their lease. Their lease doesn't distinguish between packaged liquor and it says, serving on premises. Our liquor licenses talk about packaged liquor or consumption on the premises or not, which is a different question. My reason for suggesting we table it, because it is really a private covenant, it's between the landlord and the tenants between themselves. I would not like to see, litigation among tenants in a downtown business, but it is really not our purview. That being said, however, as a practice, we request the consent of the owner in building, or the landlord, when we have tenant uses. And I think there may be some confusion, as I saw a draft from our staff, as to whether the landlord really consented to this use. You recall there were 3 different uses coming in, and I'd like to be able to see what the landlord consented to, because one of the owners of the landlord company is an attorney, and he wrote the letter basically saying that they do not approve of this. So if they had granted a consent, they may have withdrawn it. They may not, if Peggy speaks to what the intentions are as she expressed them to the board, they may be able to work through those issues. So I think time would be maybe well spent where staff could try and facilitate that if some kind of requirement, because we could, again, put a condition on the special use that's more restrictive than the Class H license that they're seeking. So there's later on a similar, another ordinance that could be tabled as well, which is the creation of that Class H, so we can look into this a little more as to whether the landlord consented or not.
All right. We have a motion, though.
Motion to table.
We have a motion and a second.
The motion to table has precedence over the motion on the floor.
Trustee Daney.
Second.
Motion to table. We got a second from Trustee Ranky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Gabrenya?
Yes.
Hopkins? Ranky?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonell?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Item has been tabled.
That's all we have under planning and zoning.
Thank you, Chairman Hopkins. Moving along to our standing committee reports. The next item we have is Building Committee Chairman Gabrenya.
My item is covered under the consent agenda.
Thank you, Chairman Gabrenya. Finance and Golf Committee Chairman Daney.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we have 4 items on the agenda tonight, and 3 of those were covered under consent. C2 was a Metro Station coffee vendor license agreement. C3 was a video gaming fee, and C4 was Brewster Creek TIF project fund payout number 3.
3 wasn't on consent.
3? It's asterisk.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Okay. I can't read a
I've got
drawing.
mine marked up so much I can't even read it anymore.
So that leaves item C1, resolution approving the village administrator employment agreement. And I'm very, give me 1 second here, guys. And I'm very proud to be able to do this evening. We have a resolution approving Paula Schumacher, the employment agreement between which was sent to the board on August 1st. And we've all talked about this. We have a resolution. And I move to approve, and again, I'm extremely proud to do this. I move to approve Resolution 2017
102?
102, a resolution approving of the village administrator employment agreement.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Carbonaro. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Hopkins?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonell?
Yes.
Daney?
I should do something funny, but I'll say yes.
Gabrenya?
Welcome.
That motion carries.
Mr. President, that concludes everything in our agenda.
Thank you, Chairman Danny. Next on our standing committee reports is License and Ordinance Committee, Chairman Kammerer.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have three items on the agenda tonight, two of which have been covered under consent, which leads us with our last one, which is the liquor license creation of a Class H license. Consideration is for the amending the Section 33210, Class H of the Bartlett Liquor Control Ordinance. A new license in this class must be created before the license can be issued by the Liquor Commissioner. The last establishment that had a Class H was Walgreens in 2010. I don't know if staff has anything else to comment on that or not.
I'd recommend this be tabled as well, consistent with the
Then I'd make
special use.
I'd make a motion, we table this.
Second.
Moved by trustee Kammerer, seconded by trustee Ranky to table item D1, Liquor Control Ordinance Agreement or Amendment. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Ranky?
Yes.
Kimmer?
Yes?
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Cabrera? Hopkins?
That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's all we have under the,
Chairman Kammerer. Next item under standing committee reports this evening is Police and Health Committee, Chairman Carbonaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. All three items were covered under the consent agenda.
Thank you, Chairman Carbonaro. And finally, standing committee reports, Public Works Committee, Chairman Ranky.
Thank you, Mr. President. No more meeting items this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Ranky. We do have one item under new business, which will be, it will be deferred to when we take the previous items off the table. Does anyone else have any new business to discuss? Chairman Hopkins, you're looking.
Well, I got questions and answers, so I'm a little ahead on the game here.
All right, we'll move right into questions and answers, Chairman, Trustee Hopkins.
One of the residents spoke about the Beaver Pond issue. Does Public Works, Mr. Dinges, can you add anything to that? Give us some background, because I'm kind of in the dark about this.
Have you ever walked around it?
No, I haven't.
You'd be,
I have,
You just have to wait on the north part.
yeah,
But it's been like that since I've been here.
yes, it's been a problem.
My understanding is the Park District is hiring an engineer to do a study on that. It will take time because it is wetlands and floodplain and all that, and that just takes time getting through the process. But it does seem like they're moving forward, at least that's what we've heard from the Park District.
Is this just because of all the rain we've had, or?
It's the big part. I mean, we had, I think our wastewater treatment plant recorded 26 inches of rain since April 1, which is unusual. So that's the main issue, is we've just had a lot of rain. We're dealing with all kinds of drainage problems throughout Bartlett, with people having drainage, in their backyard and that type of stuff. So it's definitely up this year.
I don't want to waste too much of
Was it expected that after the floods of 2008 and after all the, after we redid the intersection at 59 and Stearns and all of the work that was done there, that it would alleviate that flooding at that north end? Was that not part of the
Oh,
at all?
No.
Oh, that's really, the work that was done for the big pond behind Home Depot was for that big event. You got a big storm event, the pond will only go up so high, but that bike path is in the floodplain, so it's going to be underwater during major events. And that north end is a wetland, so the reason they put pavers in was to try to give a path as best they can, but they knew that you can't touch the wetlands all that much, so you can't raise it and all that stuff without the permitting. So
I
now
mean,
they're
the
going
rain-
to try to bridge over that, which is going to take more permitting.
The rain is definitely an issue, but it's not the only issue, because I've walked around it so many times that it is a wetlands issue with it being damp all the time. It just needs to be raised. It needs to have some sort of a stone or brick walkway over it.
Yeah, I think their plan, they tried to do the bridge, just like a makeshift bridge, but that bridge isn't long enough, obviously. So I think the plan is, and Bob can correct me, but I think they're going to try to get a bridge, a more substantial bridge that carries you dry to dry.
That'd be good.
Have we reached out, have we reached out to the Park District about this? Because this isn't our property. It's not like we could go build a bridge out there.
We received the same complaint and photographs that we've sent to the Park District, and that's how we followed up.
Okay.
I did talk to the Park District, and they hired WB Engineering, who will be doing the study to elevate a new bridge.
Okay.
For those residents in the audience, if you didn't hear that, there is some progress.
Is there any reason, or does staff find any reason to get involved in this? Or should we let the Park District handle this?
No and yes.
I think that's their purview.
Yeah, it's Park District property. They're addressing it. You know, that's like them saying, well, we don't like how you plowed the street, so we're going to plow the street now.
We don't like how they hang flags.
Any other questions and answers?
I have just a couple of comments.
All right.
First comment is I'd like to thank the board and the administration for the very nice flowers that were sent to my wife and this time that she's been injured. And so I just want to thank you very much for that. It's very much appreciated. Secondly, I want to thank the police department for the mobile radar signs, I'll call it, for the traffic slowing or awareness that we've been able to see. I've seen them put in place over by my house and in a couple areas in town, and I think they're great. I would ask, as far as I should maybe put this on new business, would it be possible for us to look into having a sign, a speed sign put up that could accommodate that radar sign on the on Braintree going north off of Stearns Road? I really think that would help to slow traffic by having that radar sign there, and it might help people feel like they're being listened to on Braintree. If we could, because right now, as you come north on Braintree, there is no speed sign, so to speak, right there. There are nothing that I've really noticed that we could attach that sign to. So it might be that we have to put a sign on Braintree somewhere between Stearns and Norwood with the sign to see if we could slow people down, calm the traffic down a little bit. And I think it would be appreciated by the people that live on Braintree if we could look into that.
Okay.
Doable? Okay.
Anything else?
I have a complaint, which is not directed at the village staff. I did share this with Scott, but the construction activity on the bridges at Stearns Road and Struckman, basically what happened was these contractors went out, started the project, and then stopped. And it's just been sitting there, and Scott did a tremendous job of trying to bird dog that, but apparently the contractors ran out of or didn't have the materials that they needed, which I think is absolutely asinine.
Dangerous, too.
Yeah, it's dangerous. The kids were out there playing with the barricades and moving them. The school buses were having issues on Struckman. It is an absolute mess, and I don't think it should happen here in the village of Bartlett. I know who the contractor is now. They're not ever going to get a yes vote from me because that's not a responsive contractor. I think it's absolutely ridiculous and completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
They've got two major roads in close proximity, essentially blocked off. It puts Public Works in a very tough spot because what are you going to do? You can't finish the project.
If I
Yeah, please.
The bridge work is very time-consuming. The delays are related to, IDOT has to approve the membrane. There's a membrane that gets put down. They have to approve all those materials. It has to get put down. You have to let it set up. Then you could put the next, so it's very time-consuming, and we're breaking it up into 3 phases because we're trying to keep traffic open the whole time. So they're doing a third of the road, keeping 2 lanes open. Then when they get done with that, they move over to the other third and so on. So that's why it's taking so long. We'd love to just shut it all down, get it done in 2 weeks, but we think the public would scream at us if we shut the whole bridge down. So it has taken a long time. Unfortunately, because of the membrane and then all the concrete work, got to let the concrete set up, it does take time to get through that process, unfortunately.
Well, one thing that I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I've never seen work done. It hasn't changed.
Yeah. And
They have 2, I think they have 2 of the lanes done now. They'll get, their weather permitting, throw rain in there, that shuts it down too. But, so what they do is they come in, they do the little piece that they can, and then it has to sit. So then they go off and do their other, I think they're working on County Farm as well, doing the bridge work there for the county. It's the same type of thing. They got to do little bit at a time.
I would make a suggestion then, when you have situations like that where it's planned chaos, that the signage needs to be improved. Because they've got these little dinky barricades up, and half the time they're not even in the right place. Somebody's going to drive over and right into that open area. Something, I don't know if the contractor just didn't have enough signs or they didn't have the right kinds, but you couldn't see it very well, and the signage they had up there was not only confusing, it was minuscule.
Okay.
Somebody could drive right through the part that was being repaired, I think.
You can talk to them about that.
Anything else?
Yeah, I just want to take a moment and thank the police department for a wonderful National Night Out.
Yay! Fantastic.
I had more fun, you know, and really, I've been interviewed so much, I felt like a TV star, a rock star. I mean, every time I turned around, somebody had a microphone. We were at the golf course earlier, and that was a great event also. Do you think, what's your feelings on us winning again?
It's on.
Oh.
Yeah, one of the things I'd suggest for Village and that for more participation in the block parties is we should throw up some of the pictures that we take during those block parties. Maybe not right now because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, but when we get closer to next year, we can use those photos because it kind of leans toward what we heard about in strategic planning. It's that community feeling, and you see those block parties and they're like, hey, we can do that. So I would like to see some of that out on the website and stuff when you come up to a couple months before next year. Because 8 just isn't enough to go to. I need to go to 12 or 14.
I want to thank Mayor Wallace for attending the block party that I attended. And,
Yes.
thank you for all the time you spend to go to all the block parties.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, that's one of the things we look forward to.
Well,
each
you and
year.
I are going next year, right?
Yeah, I'm bringing a what do they call it? A quasi-judge? A senior judge.
I'll be your bodyguard. I'll be your bodyguard.
Anything else? We will be moving directly into the. You guys need a break?
Yeah, 2.
Anyone?
No, let's just go.
All right, we'll be moving directly into the committee of the whole meeting after this meeting. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Danny, seconded by Trustee Hopkins. Will the clerk please call the roll?